I know what you're thinking, but I consider myself a professional at this. And don't act like you're better than me. You clicked on this, you were at least a little curious. Presuming you clicked on that title, I imagine you are in a similar boat to me. You see Genshin Impact, and you know the things around it, but when you get close, your heart races, and 50,000 years of instinct says, no, we have to get away. Something's very wrong here. This is a machine that grinds your time, money, and apparent sanity. Yet, if you get close to a Genshin player, they'll love it. You'll shrug, go, okay, back to your normal life. A few days later, you'll be scrolling whatever you scroll, and you'll see the most beautiful woman of your entire life, and then realize you never left, because that's a fucking Genshin character too. Take Leonardo da Vinci to an art college, and he'd get blown the fuck out by a Farina fan artist. Genshin Impact is a gacha game from Chinese studio MiHoYo. Gacha refers to a specific trend from 60s Japan that involved these machines with a bunch of little toys in it. The thing is, the toy you receive from the machine is random, so in consequence it's more like a lottery machine. Video games were a ripe avenue to explore this, as you don't actually need to make the toy, with gacha games offering you characters with unique abilities to add to your party. MiHoYo is not new to this. They got their start with several mobile games before hitting it big with the game Honkai 3rd Impact, producing Genshin Impact in 2020, which functions as a live service game despite having most of the things you'd expect from a single-player title, with Genshin Impact becoming one of, if not the biggest gacha game ever made, consistently on track to make $10 trillion globally from this gacha system, resulting in a content cycle that has persisted for over 5 years. I am going in, and I will show you what I have learned. However, I need to make a stipulation. This is an experiment, not a lore analysis, not a critique. Genshin Impact takes, I don't know, 300 to 600 hours to beat. For context, a full-time employee works 160 hours in a month. If I played this game like a 9 to 5, it would take me 2 goddamn months just to get the footage I need. I do not seek the conclusion of its story, just an understanding. I'm going to play Genshin Impact for 2 weeks. My goal being to put in 6 to 8 hours a day. I will be logging what I learn as I go through this. But my hope is that through this, I can satisfy your curiosity too. Genshin Impact opens with a pair of siblings fighting a woman with godlike powers and white hair. These siblings are dimension-hopping adventurers of sorts, more than hundreds of years old, going from world to world to see where their curiosity leads them. Their canon names are Aether and Lumine, but most people will simply refer to them as the Traveler.
Brother, we have to do something.
We can't. This is how things were meant to be. We can't interfere, no matter how bad it hurts.
I know.
This white-haired being seems to be stronger than they are, capable of spawning these weird red cubes. So you have to choose one sibling to freeze and one to be escorted away. The one you choose will be your player character. The other is lost somewhere in this world. So your goal is to find your sibling and go back to your former way of life. We start gameplay years after this event has occurred, where the player has been living with Paimon, a mysterious white-haired girl who looks like nobody we've seen before. We just fished her out of the ocean, then you hear her talking.
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned. So Paimon will do her best to be a great guide.
Oh man, is that it? I've always wanted a pocket Jar Jar. Genshin Impact is an open world game. Starting it is powerful. In a way I struggle to describe, but I will try. You see this world and see how wide it goes, how far its horizon stretches. The orchestra fills you with this undying hope. It feels serene, no expectations. Then I realize I can describe it. It's that feeling I got when I booted up Breath of the Wild for the first time. This was the comparison that shadowed Genshin Impact when it came out. You can climb on most surfaces, you can cook an egg, there's interactions between the elements. This wasn't just a minor criticism either. Chances are good when you clicked on this video you had already heard of Genshin Impact as Breath of the Wild but anime. Some guy in China got so mad over it he smashed a PS4. Then a whole event flipped MiHoYo off. And now that 5 years have passed, it's funny how little I care. Inspiration isn't a crime, it's just scary when China does it. I'm gonna sweep back around to the Breath of the Wild comparison on, let's go with day 12. Paimon wants us to explore the world and seek out its gods, believing one of them might have a clue on where our missing twin is. What we did during those first 2 months, I don't really know. I'd like to imagine they sat on a bench eating beans. I want to chill on the lore a bit and talk about gameplay. Genshin Impact is an adventure game that wants you to go everywhere and do anything. Outside of its cities and settlements, you're bound to get attacked by monsters. Genshin has several elements that control its world that react in ways you would expect. For example, if you combine water and electricity, nothing good happens. Genshin Impact has 7 elements: Animo, Geo, Electro, Dendro, Hydro, Pyro, and Cryo. All of the characters are assigned an element and a weapon type. There are 5 of these weapon types in total: swords, bows, polearms, greatswords, and catalysts. To avoid confusion, you can basically think of a catalyst like the orb a wizard needs to cast spells. The way Genshin Impact works is that you have a party of 4 from a list of over 100, but most of those characters have to be earned. The hero is your starting unit. You are quickly blessed by the god of Animo, which is wind if you deep fry the spelling, which at the moment doesn't really do a whole lot. In the opening hours of Genshin, combat is like a piece of white bread. You can slice it, you can heavily slice it, but they want your ass to go to the store if you want to do anything else with it. Genshin has one attack button. If you hold it, you'll also do a heavy attack. Then, if you hold another button, you'll use that character's ability. On their lonesome, they can't do a whole lot. In the Traveler's case, holding the ability button creates a swirling ball of Animo energy in her hands. The Animo element doesn't have any particular effects by itself. Instead, it grabs a nearby element and spreads it over the area. To help out, we get a second unit. The city of Mondstadt has a team called the Knights of Favonius, who want to make sure all of their disciples have really pinchable cheeks. In the wild, we meet an outrider named Amber. Amber joins us, and with her, we have slightly more options. Each Genshin Impact character has a basic attack, a heavy attack, a plunging attack, a skill, and an ultimate. At least, they're supposed to. Anything that doesn't is an abomination by God. The last time I made a bet like that, they pulled out Hui. For Amber, this means that she has ranged combat with a bow. However, she has the element of fire, meaning if you let an arrow charge up, it'll affect that surface or enemy with fire. Okay, we've got 2 people. What the fuck is the goal here? Like, yeah, we're looking for the 7, but how on earth does that relate to my missing sister or desperate lack of hot babes in the party? The Traveler's goal is to reach out and meet the 7 gods of Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact has 7 major countries: Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlin, and Snezhnaya. All of the countries have a god that rules over it. As the highest authority figures, the Traveler and Paimon believe they could help them find their missing sibling. Okay, that's the first step. How do we end up meeting the gods? The answer is that a giant dragon is gonna show up and be the focal point instead. Genshin Impact breaks its plot into this sort of picaresque narrative where the inciting incident takes a backseat so that we can have a new adventure in each country, with that story mostly being self-contained, with slight teasing to a conclusion that still hasn't been written yet. In Mondstadt, that plot refers to Storm Terror. The city was governed by the god of wind, however, he disappeared and entrusted 4 mythical creatures of legend to protect the city, each based on a direction, with Storm Terror being the east wind. Something has corrupted him, and instead of protecting the city, he wants to destroy it. This puts him at odds with Mondstadt. They love the guy. He's one of the winds, baby. Meaning if they fucking kill him, in the next several years, their election is going to be full of ironic votes with his name on it. So that's my current goal. Find this Storm Terror, find what's wrong with him, and see if we can get a peaceful resolution to this conflict. And with that, I considered it enough to stop for my first day. To assist me in stopping Storm Terror, the game gives me 2 more characters. Meaning, for the time being, this is our party. Lemon, an outrider named Amber, a soldier named Kaya, and a mage named Lisa, allowing me a full stack of characters to approach the map. Kaya is an ice elemental character. Cryo has the benefit of not only working in combat, but in exploration as well. Casting his blast on water will temporarily freeze it. Then you have Lisa, a mage that can deploy electric pylons and sit in the back of the party while the other 3 do the real work. Together, you can start to truly enjoy combat in a way that isn't just clicking enemies to death. And with 3 elements at our side, the Traveler's wind power has a real application. Since her wind blade is able to grab individual elements from the environment, she can trigger reactions. When certain elements come into contact, they will trigger an effect. I do not know what they are, I just know a big font pops up sometimes and it's definitely hurting them. However, thanks to the wind orb, I can just kind of hold E and expect one to happen. All of that aside, you will soon find that these 4 are the food stamps of Genshin Impact. To get any other characters in this party, you have to consult the rest of the game, but the Bible told me not to. I was ready to continue my progression through Genshin with these 4 at my side. Seeing more of the world until, stop, the game says, you need to increase your adventurer rank. What? What is that? What do you mean, adventurer rank? Adventurer rank is a level that you need to progress in order to unlock new content. This includes, but is not limited to, story quests, optional dungeons, and the ability to play co-op. The rank is raised by doing almost anything. Open a chest, adventurer rank. Unlock a waypoint, adventurer rank. Do side quests, adventurer rank. I opted to raise it by doing quests around the city. I do Kaya's because it was, frankly, the first one I found. Go get the chests, he says. I get to look around Mondstadt, searching for tiny boxes on the top of roofs. And you know me, I like to play it fair. I only need to reach rank 10. I can dedicate most of the day to doing that. In the meantime, I will tell you more about the story. While we do have the Crayon Gang, Mondstadt's starting chapter has 5 main players. I'm happy to tell you that you already know 2 of them. It's just that one doesn't talk, and the other talks way too damn much. As for the other 3, we have the acting grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius, Jean. The owner of a bar, who is also a beautiful boy with girlish eyes. He deals in information and knows almost everything that happens in Mondstadt. Venti was the first character to ever be put on that beautiful gacha system.
I'm Venti the Bard. 3-time winner of the most popular bard of Mondstadt, to be precise.
Problem is, all 3 of these are in the gacha system. A 5-year-old gacha system. Meaning there is no way in hell I will ever be able to roll them. Jean organizes the city against the threat of the dragon, while Diluc uses his connections to find the source of Storm Terror's pain, and Venti has a personal relationship and understanding of Storm Terror. They deliberately went with these 3 because they vary in height. I know it, but I can't prove it. The game only has 5 body types, and once you realize that, you'll start to see it everywhere. Venti is the Archon of Wind. His real name is Barbados, but for the time being, he's going by the name Venti. He just wants to be a bard in Mondstadt. Being a wind character sort of exemplifies him as the icon of Mondstadt. Can you use him? Fuck no, you can't. That ship sailed years ago, buddy. Sometimes the game lets you test the characters ahead of time. It's usually for only a mission or 2. Yeah, buddy, you can try the high life, just for a little. To take down Storm Terror, Venti needs us to get a liar, meaning we gotta break into the Knights of Favonius' fucking base, because they won't just give it to us. Genshin has a variety of different gameplay for you to try. In this moment, I'm expected to sneak past the guards and get to the end of the room. They keep it short, which I appreciate. This entire sneaking section is 2 minutes. If you get mad in 2 minutes, then I fear you will not survive the days to come.
Of course! I'm the best bard in the world. There's not a single song I do not know, no matter if it's from the past, present, or future.
Bust a nut, grab a bag of corn nuts and bust a nut.
Freeze! What are you doing here?
No, run!
We end up getting caught and attract the attention of the entire town guard. So we have to escape by gliding through the air while listening to the loving ambience of Genshin Impact.
You're so cheeky. You deserve an ugly nickname. Oh, Paimon knows. From now on, you'll be known as Tone Deaf Bard.
What the fuck did you say about me? What the fuck did you just say about me?
My favorite thing so far hasn't been the story or the characters or the combat. It's been the world. While the city of Mondstadt is relaxing in its own way, every time I'm there, I'm eager to walk back outside. If you peeked under the hood of Genshin Impact, you'd go, wow, this was made in a boardroom meant to brainwash innocent people into playing it for as long as possible. Then, somewhere a floor below, some guy said, I want to make the sun really pretty, and both of those guys were really damn good at their jobs. I guess beauty is easy as fuck nowadays. Open any review of the newest 7 out of 10 and the critic will say, yeah, the story is but, the combat has pins and needles, and the balance, oh god, the balance. The graphics look great though. Genshin does beauty in a way that does feel different. Instead of being detail-oriented, it tries to capture the scope and feeling of the country you're in. The lighting is just right, the music is in sync, and there's so much space to see. This is the first area of the game, Mondstadt. Each area is inspired by a different part of our world. Germany is the direct influence for Mondstadt. I've never been to Germany, so I'm gonna say that Mondstadt is the direct influence for Germany. The game is several years old at this point, but the art style never ages. This horizon was made in 2020 and still holds up today. Another thing that Genshin takes from Zelda is that you can anoint the map however you'd like. You can notify yourself of enemy camps or treasures you can't be fucked to reach. I do enjoy this in a way. It feels like I'm personalizing my experience. That if I were to look at my map, it would tell the intricate story of every spot I've been to, the trials I've been through, the waypoints I unlocked, the treasures I found, in a way that no one else's run would replicate. But I'd mark this map just to see more of it. Mondstadt is a place of rolling green plains, ominous ancient arenas, endless horizons, a frozen hellscape separated by a single lake, and a city that's just too walkable to be real. A sadness filled me. I realized there was a lot of beauty I would be missing out on by limiting myself to 2 weeks. And consequently, you would miss out too. There's other countries and landscapes that I want to see, so I'm making a resolution. On day 8, no matter where I am, I'm just gonna head out there. I want to see more of this world, even if the enemies will fucking kill me. The game gives me a boss in the form of the Ruins device. The max level my characters can be is 20, and so is this guy. Meaning this is Genshin's first real challenge thrown my way. Genshin doesn't have a dodge button. It has a sprint button that believes in itself, which can make understanding attack patterns a bit of a pain in the ass. I'm used to games where if I push the button good, my character completely vanishes and chops their head off. Instead, when I push the button, my character just high knees for a bit and runs a little faster. There's this one move where it opens its mouth and fires a bunch of missiles at me, and I don't know how to dodge it. And I don't need to. As long as I mash attack, its health bar will go down. This is in order to get a material that will repair the Holy Lyre. It just turns out the Holy Lyre isn't worth shit compared to Storm Terror. It gets immediately shattered to pieces. We're gonna just have to kick his ass and use Venti's Talk no Jutsu on him. Then we see it. The E-boy we didn't choose. He's the one behind this. All of it. It turns out what happened to the dragon is the result of a group called the Abyss Mages. And the sibling you don't choose ends up becoming a villain known as either the prince or the princess. Then I'm asked to do more adventure ranks, this time from 12 to fucking 18! You want me to waste more time? Nope, actually, this time I have a solution. Genshin Impact does not have save slots like rational and kind-hearted game companies. Instead, your save file is tied to the server you're playing on. Meaning, if I swap from America to the UK, I can have a second file. So I thought ahead for this video. The truth is, I had played Genshin Impact before, just not a whole lot, and it was in America. When the game came out, I actually streamed it for a bit during class because that's what happens when you let students do remote learning. I even named the male hero Zoom to taunt those teachers from behind. 5 years ago, this adventurer rank roadblock was enough for me to roll my eyes and go back to the other ball and chain I have. Since that day, this account has remained dormant, waiting to be unearthed, calling to me. Everything I did on this UK file was for the sake of remembering what the hell was going on. Now that I'm at that point, I can dust off this old save and actually continue the game. As a reward, I can access the Stellar Reunion, if I can fucking find it. Genshin Impact's maze of menus does it no favor. Oh, I needed to press Alt. The Stellar Reunion is the metaphorical alcohol in the cupboard. If you don't play for a certain amount of time, the game will give you a small amount of currency. However, the reward is split up over a week. You gotta log in continuously to get the full reward. Then a little more if you watch the newest in-game trailer so that Paimon could put her hand on you and say, come on, what's $20 more? With this, I also have a new party. Characters I rolled and built before the light in my eyes dimmed. We have Xingju, a water-based character that can summon swords of water to bolster everyone's attack. Noelle, an earth character that can provide a shield to the group and do this spin move. Zhanling, who loves to cook, meaning she drops a flaming turret on the ground. And lastly, Barbara. This character fills a different role in that she's a healer. If I press E while playing as her, all of my party will start to gradually recover HP as long as I have them selected. If I press Q, they all get a big health burst. The catch is that she's dog shit at everything else. I gotta let the other three fight and then wheel her out in a pinch. Combat now has the aura of a refined curry, if the curry recipe was 5 years old and covered in stains. It has more to it now. I have ways to combine my wind powers with the other elements to play around, but I wouldn't say I'm having a blast exactly. I'm just swapping between them and trying to click E as hard as I can. Thankfully, because of this old save file, I am almost done with the previous roadblock. I was a good several ranks ahead, so I could just step over this fucking adventurer rank nonsense and play the story. We're actually super close to finishing the beginning area. That adventurer rank was the only thing standing in between me and the last mission. Previously, this section of the map had a giant wind barrier around it, but Venti can dispel it with his music. We're gonna go to Storm Terror's hideout and kick his ass. You might have noticed that Jingqi, Noelle, and Zhangling had fucking nothing to do with the story up until this point. At least Amber, Kaya, and Lisa were Mondstadt natives. That is because MiHoYo does not care if the villain slays the monster or if the housekeeper does it. It creates some tonal dissonance that marks almost all of their games. I am stubborn. I will keep my lemon boy in this game as long as humanly possible. I'm also gonna get the old party back. Kaya, you made me do one fetch quest, but by fuck, you are gonna get in there and fight Dvalin. Dvalin is the dragon's real name, by the way. Venti told me that. The Storm Terror boss fight is not good. You do this Star Fox section that feels like organizing an Excel sheet. It's just follow the dragon, hold left click on the spot, move out of the way of the bullets. My gamer brain has already calculated the feeling of this, and everything else is just pushing buttons in a sequence. However, I can't say that I hated the fight as a whole, mainly because of the second phase of the fight. For two reasons. The first is that the game gives you a character related to the scenario. Even if you don't have Venti, Genshin Impact adds him to your party for the fight. Dvalin is Venti's dragon. It only makes sense that Venti is actually in it. The second is that Genshin rocks out when it comes to the music. Music might even be the secret thing to their games as a whole. If you listen to it on YouTube, you'd think it was fine music. But then you pair it with The Moment, and it's suddenly way better. It was able to make me feel the stakes of this fight. It felt like it was truly building up to this, despite the fact that most of my time in Mondstadt was filling up the adventurer rank. The combination of these two factors really made it stick in my mind. As the dragon tried to ram into us and Venti used his wind ability to soar over him, I think this game might have the sauce. Shit, what do we do? His rage is too great. What?
I can't believe it. He arrived. We might be 7, but he is 1. He forgives him. How is that even possible?
It's been a while since we flew like this together. Huh, Dvalin?
Day 4 started in an interesting way. Since this is an old account, I have a bunch of completed challenges that reward me in premium currency. Imagine my surprise when I clicked on these only to be rewarded with 5 points. But there were a lot of achievements to claim. The game spread a bunch of pennies on the ground and said, "Go, fetch!" And I did. These are some of the oldest Primogens to ever be spent, alright? Show some respect, even if it's only good enough to do a 10 pull. There are healthy ways to engage with Gacha, kind of. I kind of want to put that disclaimer in there, lest they start bombing random houses rolling for mine. Oh, it's gold. That's cool.
Hi there, I'm Tainari, Forest Watcher of the Avidia Forest.
You know, in my days passing Genshin Impact on the subway, I know little enough to know that this is extremely lucky, and that this is the one character who got his voice actor replaced for... Tainari is a character from a country I haven't been to yet. See, the word on the grapevine is that he is actually a decent 5-star pull, and to get him on your first roll is amazing luck. The problem isn't his kit though, it's how characters grow and get stronger. In most games, you get the idea. You find a monster in the wild, enjoy your power fantasy for a bit, and you will acquire experience to level up. Genshin does this. If you're okay with getting a quarter in the metaphorical homeless cup, it takes them to get over the threshold to become stronger. What you use instead are these adventurer book pickups that bestow a rational amount of experience to a character. Consequently meaning you just dump a resource you find in the world into them, and that's how they get stronger. Until level 20, the game says, "Stop again, you need to ascend them, my friend," which requires specific materials that allow them to break that limit. Tainari is from wherever the fuck Sumeru is, meaning you can lead a Tainari to level 20, but you can't make him viable. To ascend him past level 20 and allow him to compete with the now level 25 and upwards enemies would require Sumerian materials, meaning I've got a winning lottery ticket for a bench warmer. Oh, a cutscene. I guess this is for beating the prologue.
She now believed that she was the queen of the kingdom of darkness. But take heart. A second crowned heir had already taken up the path where the first had stumbled. This is the story of your journey, of your tale to be told.
Nah, never mind. This is to hype up the battle pass. As I debrief from the Storm Terror quest, me and Venti get fucking jumped.
At last, Mondstadt's rodent ruler in the flesh. Scurrying through the streets looking for leftovers.
Should have held your tongue.
Knocking me out and stealing Venti's Gnosis. The gods of Genshin all use this to maintain their godlike powers, and the assailants were none other than agents of Snezhnaya, the cryo country that represents Russia. Oh, that's why they call him Edward Snowden. My head starts spinning like, oh fuck, we gotta go put those guys in their place. Nah, Venti says. She only stole the source of my godhood, apparently. You really gotta continue your adventure to Liyue.
In any case, this year's Rite of Dissension is soon to begin. If you miss it, you'll just have to wait another year.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll... Oh. I guess it's not that time sensitive then. At this point, the requirement to fill that adventurer rank is looking a little big. But don't worry, I have a plan. I'm gonna grit and bear with it for the next 5 fucking days. The kindness in me does want to acknowledge the quality of Genshin's side quests. The first one I started was about Diluc, the bartender we glanced over in Mondstadt's main quest. He lives a double life as Mondstadt's Dark Knight hero, saving the citizens while avoiding the Knights of Favonius. So we need to help him save the city and maintain his cover. But Ice Warrior Kaya is onto him.
But Paimon doesn't understand. How is Kaya so sure he knows who the Dark Knight hero is? We need to get to the winery and tell Master Diluc as soon as Paimonly possible.
I act coy, but it's clear that Genshin does genuinely give a fuck. This side quest on its own is fully voiced and has multiple animated cutscenes. Not the ones where they talk in place or do the BioWare turn. I mean, you get to watch Diluc launch into the sky and cut down several baddies with his flame powers. Then you get to play Diluc free of charge for a bit. There are some quests I found that were missing voice work and all that. However, it wasn't about characters I could purchase with money, meaning I could suss out what was and wasn't important. However, I'm not here for the characters yet. I'm here so that I can just fucking meet them. I will keep going, damn it. This meter stopped me once, it won't stop me twice. And each quest grants me... Oh, I had to unlearn some things while out here. Just because a boss was hard or high level does not mean they are guarding good loot. I fought this thunder troll I found in the wild for several minutes. He drops 30 points of what I'm looking for. Most of what you'll find is experience books or low-quality weapons, and I still have thousands of these points to grind. I decided I would venture into Liyue anyway. It's the next country we would visit, based on China. I'm gonna be here anyway, right? I unlocked the map 5 years ago before even bothering to finish the Mondstadt storyline, which is why I can already do this. The Traveler isn't limited to just wind as their power. When you unlock a Statue of the Seven, think like Sheikah Towers from Breath of the Wild, you can interact with it to change the hero's power to the element associated with the country. For Liyue, that's Geo or Earth. Geo doesn't resonate with other elements in a damage-dealing way. Instead, if you combine the elements, Geo will drop a crystal of the other element. If you touch it, you gain a shield resistant to that element, meaning instead of using this offensively, you use it defensively. At least you're supposed to. Probably. I just wasn't thinking that way when they let me drop a giant fucking rock on my enemies. Not only that, you can use this power to make exploring easier. Climbing uses that classic stamina system where, as long as you have gas in the tank, you can keep going. You can increase it permanently by offering stuff to the gods, or you can create rock footholds that continuously restore your stamina. The Traveler can only have one power at a time. You can viably switch between these elements, but it will involve a little bit of fast travel. The Traveler can do this because of where they're from, meaning not Teyvat. Characters in the world of Genshin Impact have visions. If you express a strong will during a difficult moment in your life, you'll develop a vision, a supernatural power related to one of the elements, and one element only. The Traveler doesn't have a vision. Instead, he can just use them all, because it'd be really bad if he entered this world having to toss rocks. And none of the countries have a problem if you take their power. Everyone in Genshin Impact accepts the white boy with open arms. I know you have already come to this conclusion, but there is something profoundly sad about getting up at 9 a.m. to grind in Genshin Impact. I want to continue the plot. I want to learn about Liyue. Yet here I am, pushing this meter in a way that it just won't fucking move. Like politics, except unfortunately no one comes and shoots me in the fucking head. The good news is, I've got people around me who love Genshin, and I've contacted them for aid. It'll just take them a little to get here. By day 5, I can say I've finally started getting Genshin Impact's combat. I have a variety of little condiments for my sandwich now. It feels like I'm actually thinking a bit when I push the buttons. I feel a change in myself, yet no warmth. There's also probably a group of people looking at my team like, "Oh ho, you have no synergy. Drop Geo Traveler and die!" I have been playing this for 5 days. Where I'm at right now in my Genshin journey, combat is more of an application and resource management than it is a game of timing. Since each character has an ability with its own cooldown, I often found myself swapping to make sure I was able to do something. It's probably why there's a brief cooldown on changing characters. People like me would just keep smashing E. Ultimates are also independent of each character. These recharge fast too. As fights went on, it wasn't uncommon to be using each one more than once. With my Traveler being level 40, he's the most reliable way to carve through the world. The others I'm slowly ascending and leveling up past their limits, while putting Barbara in the party occasionally to heal him. I got a little sick of doing side quests, so I thought it might be fun to map out all of Liyue, walking around, getting more views, more experiences. I do not think this is Liyue. There are magic mushrooms on the wall. Where the fuck am I going? I feel like my mobster friend just took a wrong turn down the street and has suddenly stopped talking. It turns out, I have waltzed into Sumeru. I didn't plan on going anywhere outside of the stories I can actually accomplish. I guess I thought India and Peru would stand out a little more. On the bright side, there is still the Statue of the Seven. Sumeru is holding one as well, which doesn't take long to find. This one being Dendro, allowing me to imbue the Traveler with a new ability. I walk over to an enemy and... I have no clue what this shit does. Dendro is... Hold on. Dendro is the power of plants and nature. Dendro connects with water, fire, and electricity, except it can react off of several steps instead of just one. For example, if you hit Dendro with water, it will create a core that will explode, but you can give that explosion fire or electricity seasoning. The adventurer rank has been going great, by the way. I thought at worst this would eat up a day. I haven't moved a goddamn inch, and I'm not doing nothing. I did the daily commissions that net me a nice chunk of rank. I'm doing multi-step side quests. I'm digging up the chests. The fastest way just seems to be wait a day and do the dailies until you can play the main quest again in a few weeks. But I have a time limit. Is this why Genshin takes so long? Does anyone ever speedrun this game? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. This is like what I do for patrons, which you can be a part of, by the way. Oh my god, she's alive! And this is the fault of Asadekai, Slushy/Art, Ethan A, Mini McNugget, Syrup, Anthony R. Chambers, and Edrigus. To start the day, I decided I can't be on this mark forever. I am approaching the halfway point. Genshin disagrees with my experiment, but I disagree with it. I am consulting the internet. I'm going to see what they recommend I do to get this level higher. I knew that on day 7 I was going to have 2 longtime Genshin fans accompany me on some quests. I didn't play much on day 6. I told my boss, yeah, this is just too hard to motivate myself, so I'm gonna take some time off. So I cracked a little early when one person named Frank said they would teach me how to grind. The first thing Frank tells me to do is to follow them to this island in the middle of nowhere. To swim, you have to use stamina. If you run out, you drown, take a bit of damage, and end up on the shore. So the island should be out of the question unless you upgrade your stamina a bunch. But if you remembered earlier, ice can make small platforms. No problem, Kaya's Ice Blast has a several second cooldown, which is longer than the ice itself lasts. However, with Frank, as long as the two of us communicate, and they use their incredibly busted ice character, never mind, we drowned. Okay, as long as we both use Kaya and toggle our ice abilities across the entire ocean. 3 minutes at a time, by the way, this took a while. Take a look, take a look.
Dodge this! Freeze! Cool it! Dodge this!
The island had a chest on it, and a mini-boss. It was neat. With the Reddit post and Frank on my side, I have quite the itinerary. Genshin has multiple activities that can be done consistently and grinded. They give me a lot of adventurer XP, and I don't need to find new ones or skip cutscenes. It's just me and the task. I ran around doing this Regisvine boss. They drop materials that I will one day use to ascend my characters higher and higher. You see, Genshin has held me down in a puddle of grinds, but it has a fucking ocean waiting. I'm tapping out right before the wave that gets me. Each character has several different components that build them. Their swords, their artifacts, their talents, their ascension levels, their constellations. And fighting these bosses over and over is how you get the materials required to level them up. The other way to grind up my adventurer rank is the ley lines. These are simple little mob battles that net you a bunch of adventurer XP once more. The catch for the Regisvine and the ley lines? Apparently you need to feed them sap. Every day you have a pool of resin that will be used up by the bosses and ley lines. You can restore them if you pay money. Otherwise, you need to let the pool recharge over 26 hours. Frank also has a piece of important information for me. Don't let random people join your party. While the social aspects might be sweet, they are parasites. Many people are here to mine the resources in your world because they mined all of theirs in their world. I forgot I accidentally walked my ass into Sumeru, where Tighnari is from. A couple of mushrooms peeled off a tree later, and Tighnari can be ascended and used. He's the king of the jungle, and don't worry, the VA was replaced by the guy from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Today is the true multiplayer day I planned out. I dragged 2 homies and old-time Genshin players in to get their understanding and experience. See the combat when I'm not limited to just one character on the field, find new corners of the world, enjoy myself, because you know how it goes. Everything is better with friends. The immediate advantage of multiplayer is obvious. Extra blades, more magic to go around. To balance that out, Genshin reduces the team size by 1 for each co-op player. If you have 2 people in the lobby, each one gets 2 characters. If there's 3 players, the host gets 2 and the others get 1. If it's a fully stacked out lobby, someone says, that's not a proper use of your time. I saw a crowd of enemies eager to see what the new combat dynamics look like when...
We did it!
Oh yeah, I don't know why I expected anything else. I did feel quite poor looking at them pulling out beautiful girls like they were confetti while I sat there with Aether and Amber. Then one does a roll and gets Mualani right in front of my goddamn face. At the time of writing, that's the new girl at the front of the banner. From my understanding, this is the Genshin equivalent to showing how big your horns are. What can you do in multiplayer? You can explore and go fuck yourself. While in multiplayer, you cannot progress any of the quests. Nor can you activate new statues of the 7, which is a problem since those are my 2 favorite things. I stood there, umming and twiddling my fingers until one of them said, let's climb the big frozen mountain and it's called Dragon Spine. So we sauntered over that little river and started making our way upwards. This mountain has one great equalizer. While on Dragon Spine, everyone slowly freezes to death. You need to continuously make little pit stops at fires lest you perish. The mountain has a statue of 7 here, so I booted them out to activate it, then invited them back. You really got me there, miHoYo. We stood there. So, I've been having trouble getting my adventurer rank up. I was shown the golden path. These are domains. I know there were ley lines, but I guess we're doing domains now. These are replayable combat arenas that drop a variety of resources similar to the Regisvine bosses. The big reward, for my purpose, is another massive chunk of adventurer rank. I'm carrying all this other stuff for the day I have some spring cleaning to do and decide I actually want to try leveling up Bennett. Sella says to me, hey, do you want to see Natlin? She circles out a waypoint on my map. I figured, sure, why not? But I only agreed to see the starting area of Natlin, since I have the big journey tomorrow. But a quick little step in Natlin couldn't hurt, right? And in that instant, I was teleported away. But because of the game's co-op limits, I only have my food stamps. That's fine, there's no combat. Similar to how Fontaine allowed you to swim underwater, Natlin has a Kirby-esque system where you can possess certain enemies to gain their powers for a brief period of time. Then there's a Pokemon-esque system where you claim one as a pet, and you better not name it a slur, I'm watching you. The tutorial for this system was so important that I got put in gay baby jail until I had formed an entire friendship with a pet. So it takes a good long while to get through this, while they sit around on their map trying to get their way to me. Then I dragged myself out of the tutorial, curious. I then asked, why have you stuck around Genshin Impact for so long? I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna see Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlin. No, you can't go out there. You'll be playing the game wrong. I know, but I have to, for the people who will never see it. Oh, that's right. I play Genshin Impact now. While in Liyue on day 5, I noticed there was an edge of the map that connected to some other landmasses. Considering that there are invisible walls in places, I wasn't super confident, but I was going to try anyway. Of course, it is a giant cliff with waterfalls blocking my path. But yet behind me is a giant mountain. If I can use my wings and glide across the gap, the boundary might just break. I don't know if they'll let me. I'm not supposed to do this. Waltzing into Sumeru is just pushing my luck, but they let me into Natlin, right? On the other hand, why would the devs let their hard work be appreciated by a guy that can't recite every layer of Liyue's legal system? In this particular part of Liyue, there are these carp slingshots. If I press T, I'll get sucked in and get to shoot myself out. So, by using this one over here... I've already wandered into the start of Sumeru and Natlin, so the only possible place this could be is Fontaine. Fontaine is the water area of Genshin Impact, inspired by France and Italy. I think this is where that Farina lady is from. I know you've seen fan art of her, and I know what you did with it. You should feel an emotional connection to this place. The music here is unabashedly amazing. I want you to take a few seconds to just watch the combat and listen to this.
One with the...
Something that's odd is that the enemies aren't a higher level than me. They're around level 30, so they don't hit hard and they can be killed. I assumed the world of Genshin would scale in accordance with how far into the story the area is, but it actually seems like something else entirely controls their level. Fontaine has posed a different problem for me though. This is the domain of water. I don't have Frank, or Sella, or Hiksu to create a massive bridge of ice, meaning I have to look for spots of water that are shallow enough for me to cross. Yes, this is more efficient than increasing my stamina. I'm lucky in that Fontaine has two very specific offerings for me. You can swim underwater when in Fontaine, though the more clear-cut method is the Wave Rider. These can be summoned at certain docks, providing speedy transportation over the massive lakes that cover Fontaine. I can see a city in the distance, but there's an important stop I have to make along the way. Like with Mondstadt, Liyue, and Sumeru, there's a new version of the Traveler to unlock here, being Hydro. This is supposed to be the worst form for him. Some people even say it's the worst character in Genshin Impact. Not me though, because I don't believe in hyperbole, and because I really don't like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. The Hydro Traveler is a ranged character, able to fire out tiny water pellets in a stream in front of him. The thing is, he can't move while firing, so you're a sitting duck while channeling the attack. Then the ult is a slow-moving damage orb. That said, I don't really mind. Genshin isn't a hard game in the way I'm playing it. Having good variety is more important to me than min-maxing stats. I get back in the Wave Rider, then scale the walls of this giant city. This is the Court of Fontaine, and it is an extremely vertical city with layers to drop down in various districts. God, the rent here must be insane. Do you think they take food stamps? No, they do not. The Court of Fontaine is connected to the mainland via the regional waterway hub. I know there are fast travel points, I just want to walk to say I did. Plus, this is really meditative. The game is so naturally colorful and atmospheric that even 8 days in, I'm still walking just to see what the next landmass might look like. You're right. I should spend my money. Give me a few 4 stars from Natlin. I've added quite the repertoire of 4 stars by now. Each character in Genshin can be separated by 4-star and 5-star. And the main difference is the brand, TM. Really, this is the titty tax, but hey, I'm buying. The main difference is that 4 stars are much more common in the gacha, and 5 stars are usually at a 1% chance. 5 stars are usually more powerful. Usually. You can use a lot of 4 stars viably. I'm a bit gated by the fact that I'm unable to ascend them, but my Traveler is gonna carry this shit on his back. The Traveler has a maxed out weapon, as well as sturdy HP. If Lynette can't keep up, Aether will step in. This has to be the end of Fontaine. Oh god, that's a lot of ocean. And I'm not scouting for another route. I'm so stubborn I kept asking a Chinese restaurant for the menu until they gave me a cheeseburger. This is like that waterfall from earlier, except I don't have a carp catapult. I do have a high vantage point though. Okay, flying won't work. Looks like there's boats I can land on. Nope, okay. Well, I can brainstorm and land on the boat from midair. There we go. And to taunt me for my persistence, right on the shore is a Wave Rider. These things are free, so I understand why the Court of Fontaine is so expensive, and why that slum is so hard to notice. This is not Natlin. I don't know that yet, but I'm actually somewhere we've been before. Sumeru. The portion I explored before was just the starting point. It turns out Sumeru is massive and gives way to a giant desert. But in it, I might have found the most beautiful thing I have in Genshin. It starts here, the sand tufting upwards as I step on it, until I see this massive hurling maelstrom in the distance. The waypoint is thankfully to my right. In the corner of my eye, while climbing over the cliff towards the waypoint, I see this. It's a giant green pillar of light that screams into the sky and demands I check it out. Arm by arm over a scorching mountain, at the dead of night. After getting launched up a waterfall, fighting a robot, swimming across a body of water, scaling the walls of a city, walking several miles down a waterway, gliding a mile across a lake, drowning twice, running through the hot sun, and fighting a fucking scorpion. Then, I asked the main character to climb a mountain.
You wanna switch? I'll ride in the pod for a couple of miles. No?
The light shoots out of a massive tree. I don't know what to do with it, whether that be check out the base of the tree or fly into the top, so I'm just gonna admire it. It's like Venti said, the journey is more important than the destination. I would die here if I could. Sumeru is not what it at first appeared to be. When I waltzed in a few days ago, I thought it was a jungle that didn't even stand out from Liyue. Now I've walked just barely a handful of feet from the Lorax's nightclub, and now I see where the sidewalk ends. I'm trying to make my time through this slowly and unlocking the waypoints. For the version of me in a few years that decides to finish this damn thing, it is sort of dawning on me how little I can truly touch here. Just like in Fontaine, the enemies are scaled to me. This wasn't the virtuous mission I was expecting. I figured I'd get stopped every few seconds by some beefcake I'd have to sneak past. Instead it goes, fucking sandstorm! My favorite part of Indiana Jones was him seeing a pyramid and thinking, those Nazis aren't gonna get more adventurer rank than me. We've reached the top once more. This is the line that separates Sumeru from Natlin. Natlin is the last area on my docket. Node Cry will be added in a day or two. Then after that, they'll keep making this bastard run on a hamster wheel until we're floating on the dwarf planet hosting the secret Archon of Light, and there still won't be more than 5 body types. There's a statue of the 7 all the way at the edge of Natlin, and I figured once I'd gotten there, I had seen enough to stop adventuring. This is the last leg of the journey. I ran to the statue of the 7 once more. Frank offhandedly said that the Pyro Traveler was the best one. You don't even need to explain that one to me. It's fire. I've been using it since I grabbed that one little bastard off Professor Oak's table. Anyway, boom! Shouldn't it be more intense the first time you touch it, huh? Fine. I don't need your pyro. I guess they predicted that some guy would come by all these years from the future to plunder Natlin's power and bring it home. Similar to how Fontaine had massive bodies of water for me to cross, Natlin is built out of dozens of fault lines that make vertical travel a real pain in the ass. Which is a bit of an issue when you remember my goal is to go straight through. Remember those beasts I possessed earlier? With a bit of searching, I can possess a bird. See this red meter at the bottom of the screen? This is your red meter. Each possession has a limited meter to use that creature's abilities. You can use them in short bursts and have them regenerate it, but if they go past that meter, they will start to drain it from a conserved resource specific to your character. Meaning, with enough red, I can soar over the cliffs of Natlin. Unlike the Wave Rider that let me just put my feet up, I have to find these orbs that restore my red meter. It took me a while to learn that because I was under pressure when they showed the tutorial to me. And I think this is the edge of Natlin, but there's still so much more to go. Where? I don't even see any way across this body of water. I can't even see what's at the end of it. This isn't like Fontaine. There's no magic water I can saunter across, no Wave Riders, no underwater. They want me to suffer. But there is more. The waypoint confirms it. What the fuck? I'm not gonna call it here, though. What kind of bitch attitude is that? Thankfully, Natlin's creature possession isn't limited to just saurians and birds. By finding a little blue icon, we can become a shark sea fish that I will hereby name Ellen Jo. She can swim forever without getting tired, meaning we're gonna use her to cross the sea. Is it me or is it getting misty? Wait, there's an island out here.
Hero from a foreign land, stay on guard. Here be the pitch black foe.
Rush once from a foreign land. Please, stay where you are. This is forbidden land to the tribe, and you may not trespass.
I'm gonna go this way. Just forwards is all. No one even told me the name of this island. Why the hell is it so far out? There has got to be a good explanation. Why did the music turn off? The water is endless. It's so quiet. Am I going anywhere? I'm not even meant to be out here. I've been in this water for almost 10 minutes. Genshin doesn't waste your time that way. In GTA 4, if you go outside the map, they track you down with helicopters and kill you from getting too far. So, what is Genshin going to do? Oh, nope. It was just a long swim. This is the EasyBreeze Holiday Resort. I haven't seen any enemies, just people partying, music and lights. Hell yeah! The edge of the map contains a fucking vacation area. I sent this screenshot to a Genshin player, and they informed me that the game had already given me a waypoint to this resort. So I could have just clicked on that instead of going on a transcontinental cruise. But that just means I've earned this more than you. Hey, wasn't he supposed to be here any day now? This resort is from the 2025 summer update. Just like how your usual live service game will have seasonal game modes, Genshin will add content in relation to the season, or banners they want to hype up. This one is called an EasyBreeze Natlan and an EasyBreeze Summer. There is a lot of FOMO on the table here. Genshin will gate some of these events and delete them from the game. However, some are permanent, and this is one of them. Lord knows what we'll never see, but at the very least I can say I was here for this. I'm taking the day off. I'm only playing for a few hours and I'm spending it on this island. I'm not focusing on min-maxing my strats or my adventure or rank or anything. So I booted up Zenless Zone Zero for the first time in a year for its summer event, because it was unfair to make Belle that beautiful. It's interesting how similar these games run, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Also, I pulled Alice Timefield with just a bit of luck. It's impressive how much Zenless Zone Zero has improved after just 1 year. The combat feels better, my complaints about ultimates in my old video have been completely fixed. I wonder how many pitfalls and obnoxious things were in previous versions of Genshin, and I've been spared from them. Look at this. Wouldn't be possible without all that money. No, don't bring me back. Don't take me away from her! The gameplay of EasyBreeze is mini-game heavy and very non-confrontational so far. The idea is that Paimon and Traveler are on vacation, just here to relax. This is still Natlan. EasyBreeze is just built on top of an island called Tenochtitlan. Because this is Natlan, the possession mechanic comes back. We'll use its real name, Indwelling. Fitting with the vacation theme, I can possess Asha, a sort of blob creature that vomits paint. I thought to myself by the time I was done here they would call it Delfino Isle. However, the paint can only affect certain surfaces for the glory of the Puzzle Dominion. The island centers on a cast from characters all over the world of Genshin. You have the Traveler from the land of My Couch, Bennett, an adventurer from Mondstadt, then you have Mualani and Chaska, natives of Natlan. Mualani being a tour guide, surf girl, and general menace, and Chaska being the weird animo lady she drags around. Paimon also sounds different.
Let's share the fun and excitement with our friends on shore by giving them a nice big wave! Yoo-hoo! It's Mualani! It's the shopkeeper!
If you've been in the same corners of the internet as me, you'll know that Genshin Impact's voice acting scene has more in common with fucking trench warfare. But the problem with hitting something with the power of 100,000 opinions at once is that it makes it really hard to make any sense out of the remaining rubble. Meaning the scene is fraught with rumors, misinformation, and way too many people being bold about things they don't completely understand. So I would like to avoid being another voice adding to that. And the last thing my fucking vacation needs is to talk about shipping discourse that has a 50% chance of being true. The reason I bring it up at all is that Paimon's English voice actress has been replaced. Recently, in fact.
You're welcome. But have you been waiting for us here this whole time? Hey, someone who knows us. But isn't this place supposed to be called Tenochtitlan? You're saying it's actually a resort? How come we're only hearing about this now?
This is one of the new voice actresses' first time being heard. Currently, they just have to split a voice actor. She'll obviously grow into the role, but she sounds like one of the cast members from My Friendly Neighborhood.
Oh? What kind of stuff? Did you win some kind of lottery or something? See what's happening in the neighborhood!
The writing is surprisingly good. While it was never bad in any of the other levels, I can tell this is a step up. This is a more modern taste of Genshin after all. They've extracted enough money from the world, and this is what they can do with it. This arc feels like it was made for people who love these characters and nothing else. Like I said, there's no combat. Okay, never mind, they're jumping me on vacation. Mostly, there's no combat. The goal here is to just have a nice time, and the resort is testing out certain attractions, each character hosting their own minigame. And I want to enjoy it, so I've decided to open up the piggy bank. I'm gonna roll the gacha to its natural conclusion. Mualani was on the banner when I started. She's the one that got pulled in front of me. In the words of George Carlin, envy is what keeps the economy going. If I can pull Mualani, I've got some kind of memento to this video. I want to remember that day I booted this up during the summer of 2025. I need to turn FOMO into something positive. Rolling is not an appealing concept. I'm not doing this lightly, and each second I spend on the menu makes me feel a little worse about it. You can grind currency for the rolls, but similar to Adventurer rank, that is a luxury of time that I do not have. So I have walked into the slightly insidious part. I was presented with a lineup of shots to ease me in. Genshin offers you extra on the premium currency the first time you purchase it, to sweeten the taste before they dilute it to their intended standard. So when you buy the currency like this, you get much more. But it's not a cheap currency. You'd think it's $1 for a roll, but it's closer to $1.60. 60 cents adds up when you need to do so many rolls. You can brute force the system. MiHoYo has a pity mechanic. Upon 100 rolls, you are guaranteed a 5-star from the system. The problem is that this can be any 5-star. You could get the girl you want. You could have what happened to me. Tighnari took the bullet for me. He was a 5-star on Mualani's banner that I pulled on day 4. See, the first 5-star you roll can be anyone with a 50% chance of being the one on the banner. The second time you pull a 5-star in that banner, it has to be the one that's advertised. Meaning I don't have to spend a lot to get her.
Thank you for joining me,
there she is.
I'm Mualani, a guide from the people of the Springs. If you need anything, just raise your hand and let me know. Now, please stow your weapon.
She goes on for a bit, but I guess that's to make your money feel more worth it.
And most importantly, let go of your troubles. I prepared a sharky surfboard for you, so hop on and try not to fall. Alrighty, let the journey begin!
It cost me $60. Do I feel good? No, not especially. I guess it's more like a nagging feeling has been sated, like I won't lose out on something. It's not like my first time rolling, and I repeat what I said a year ago. This is like a cigarette ad. It will not look as cool if you do it. With this, I have a full squad able to explore the island. I already have Bennett from a previous roll. Aoife's on the island somewhere, he's just keeping his mouth shut, meaning the only one from this entire group that I don't have is Chaska. Which meant that the characters exploring the island were the ones I saw in the cutscenes, which endeared me a lot more, and motivated me to pay attention. These weren't one-off characters that I might pass by and not see again, they are true parts of my party, go through their own triumphs and falls, and help fix this island. One thing I'll give Genshin is that it does not miss when it puts back on its happy face. The island is basically a hyped up version of what I wanted to do anyway. It's the atmosphere. The island of Tenochtitlan has its own customs, vibrant people. The way the sun hits is just really fantastic. I'm a person who has not gone on a vacation in 10 years because I don't deserve one. And this horizon made me wish that one day I could deserve to see something beautiful. As the gang all sits around and makes wishes, dreams about the future, but I don't have a wish. Just a thought. I finally have enough adventure ranks to take the fucking
from the people of the Springs, at your service. Oh, all of Matland is at our fingertips. Let me show you. Follow me.
It's time to go home, to return to Liyue with the requested adventurer rank. Though my programming has been installed, I woke up this morning and did my daily commissions. Then I did a ley line. Truth be told, I was kind of into the EasyBreeze Resorts plotline. Mualani had this upbeatness to her that was sorta magnetizing, but I cannot lose my way. It's been so long since I've been in Liyue, I almost forgot what it looks like.
Stay in Liyue long enough and you'll see. Given that you just left your godless city, it's time you experienced what it's like to be in a city whose god has walked with it through all of history.
What the fuck did you say? Mondstadt? Liyue is a commercial part of the world and very Chinese, with many of the areas taking inspiration from real-world Chinese locales. Some of its denizens are also adepti, immortal beings that have achieved this status by dedicating their lives to the gods, which bears a lot of similarities to the Xian myth from Taoism. All this stuff I read off Wikipedia is true. Paimon smiles and goes back to her old voice like nothing happened.
Great! Now that we're all done with the wishing, guess we can just wait here for things to get started.
This creature is so innocent. She is malleable and a tool, yet Genshin's greatest gift to her is that she does not know this. I'm gonna meet the main character of Liyue. The Rite of Descension is a yearly event in Liyue where the god of Geo, Rex Lapis, comes down and gives the people his predictions that will influence the economy. And that's him now! We decide the best course of action is to get out of here before someone suspects us, which, you know, is more suspicious than simply being here. But what do I know? That JFK guy didn't even put up a fight.
Hey buddy, hold still.
We are saved by Child, an agent of the Fatui, a secret military group owned by Shneznaya. If you remember, that includes the woman that jumped me and Venti. Not only that, he's one of the 11 Harbingers, top-level enforcers that carry out the Tsaritsa's will. Child wants us to track down the Adepti, specifically 3 of them that have secluded themselves out to the wilds of Liyue. If we can assemble them, inform them of Rex Lapis's passing, they can help us figure out the next course of action. Child will not tell us what's in it for him. He's easygoing and well-spoken, as well as being happy to part with tons of Fatui money to help us in our quest. So we go, okay, starting off the Liyue chapter properly. I choose to do some grinding, of my own will. I go back to Natlin in order to obtain Mualani's materials, allowing me to ascend her and properly add her to the party. I wasn't walking out of that island with nothing. Genshin is a kind mistress and will highlight the areas where materials can be found, with pinpoint specificity. I'm only limited by motivation and resin count. Mualani is a 5-star after all, so I'm willing to dump a bit more attention into her than I normally would. Let's talk about the difference between 4 and 5-star characters. Starting with this 4-star woman named Lynette, who comes from Fontaine. She is an anemo magician. Wind characters are largely considered support characters because of their ability to spread other elements, with Lynette dropping a hat that spews out anemo damage, but if you drop another element into it, it'll just become that instead, making it a constant space of exploding damage. We're talking flame hats, lightning hats, water hats. Alright, now let's compare that to Mualani. $10 Genshin character versus $100 Genshin character. Mualani is a water-based character with movement abilities that translate into her damage. You press your ability to start riding on a shark. Touching enemies with the shark boogie board will mark them, and when you hit attack, the surfboard will bite down, then launching dozens of water missiles into the air that will rain down on the marked targets. I was told by Frank she's a vape DPS, which is weird because I thought that was Venti. What they mean by vape DPS is that her damage comes from her applying the wet status effect on flaming enemies. This triggers the Vaporize status effect, which deals bonus damage. And you want Mualani to do the water damage because it triggers 2 times the damage if water is what causes the reaction. Meaning my goal would be to use Zhangling or Amber to light monsters on fire, then boogie board them to death. Not only that, when Mualani hops on her surfboard, she can cross water much faster without expending my stamina. She can only do this as long as she has Night Soul points. That's the illustrious barrier before it drains my red meter. Interestingly, this effect is enhanced in Natlin, since once she runs out of her default Night Soul stamina, it will start to drain from my red meter. Meaning, when in Natlin, you can extend it by much, much more. I guess in the latter half of the live service, they decided the best way to fix the meta was to drag you by the hair. And now I've dragged her to Liyue. The people who've rolled Mualani are definitely not concerning themselves with the politics of Liyue. Lastly, I have good old Tighnari. He's been my 5-star for a while now. Tighnari uses the Dendro effect, allowing him to make those bloom traps. He's an archer, and when you charge up the shot, it'll expand itself into multiple tracking arrows. His special ability tosses a little field that creates illusions for the enemies to get distracted by. When this ability is tossed out, Tighnari's bow charges up much, much faster. At its base speed, it flows like someone turned their morning shit into a game mechanic. I reach Adventurer rank 25 and the game decides I must pass its exam before I go further. Did you study up, little guy? Do you have all the paperwork in order? I've been through worse. Killing some enemies, doing a platforming challenge, then killing some enemies in 2 minutes. The reward is that now I can increase the max level cap from 40 to 50. This primarily affects the main character who has been my workhorse. And my world level is now 2 instead of 1. I believe this is some kind of certification about the people who are allowed in my lobby. I'm on step 2 of an 8-rung ladder. World level is a baseline mechanic that makes sure the enemies stay in accordance with your level. Hence why the baddies I encountered on day 8 were so low level. Genshin scales in accordance with this world level, meaning now I have higher rank enemies in all sections of the world. With added difficulty, I should talk about staying alive. There's no regenerating health in Genshin Impact. Poor Aether gets smacked in the head and you're carrying that wound unless you get a healer. If you didn't roll one or you didn't feel like leveling her up, you can go to any statue of the 7 and it'll restore your health. If you've been good and haven't used it all up for the day, my main method of healing has been cooking meals. Get any boiling pot going and you can toss in a menagerie of ingredients you picked up off the ground. Genshin doesn't have a limit on the stuff you can carry, so I've been spamming the pickup button after every fight, then just dump it all in a pot. Panic and shove all the meals down my throat when a fight gets a little too tough. Unfortunately, if you let a character go down, there's a 90-second cooldown on revival items. So, for me, it's preventative care or carrying them back to the statue. I like that Child roots us in familiarity. He hangs in the back and debriefs us after each quest. Liyue is a strange part of the world with a lot of culture to keep up on, which is great because I didn't learn what an Adepti actually was for like 2 more days. Day 11 wasn't my most progressive day. When I proposed this experiment, a Genshin player said I would likely end my experiment at the finale of Liyue. Liyue and Mondstadt were both broken into 3 acts. Liyue Act 1 was yesterday, so Act 2 is today. I've already spent a lot of time hearing the words Adepti, Exuvia, Qixing, Millileth, and nodding my head in agreement. Tracking down the Adepti was a headache, but all they did was wax poetic at me. Act 2 thankfully starts us fresh. We're going to bury the god of Geo. The plotline turns from how we're gonna find the person that did it to getting the funeral rites correct, to which I am introduced to Zhongli, the head of Wangshen Funeral Parlor.
It is an honor to meet you. I have heard tell of you from Mondstadt.
He is to Liyue what Venti was to Mondstadt, the centerpiece character who represents Liyue's values. He'd be the one you roll the gacha hundreds of times back in December 2020. He was probably a bigger deal when he released, since there were only a handful of Geo characters to start out. Noelle was the only Geo character for a good while, meaning back then what he brought to the field was somewhat unique. Little did he know, he was basically meeting the fucking Avatar at this point. Zhongli is a man of trade, so we get to spend several minutes learning about the art of the deal.
A fool sees the pointer and misses the moon.
What does that mean?
If you point at the moon with your finger, a wise man knows that you are pointing at the moon, while a fool will only see the finger, the patterns, the facade. These are all the finger. Noctilucous jade is a mystical stone used to light up the darkness, and so its brightness is the important thing. It is the moon.
He's a man that's full of lengthy fun facts about Liyue. He's refined, but not stuffy. While Venti was an airhead that was content to let things happen as they may, and let Mondstadt rule itself, probably owed to the elements they represent. Venti is carefree and friendly, Zhongli is steadfast and calm, but hardworking. And the writers were smart enough to never have him vocalize his opinion on poor people. Zhongli is just the archon of the hustle, taking us from corner to corner of Liyue's capital, like a zombie-run medicine shop, or a perfume shop run by a cougar. Then I tell him to his face that I still prefer Mondstadt.
I see. So you're that sort of person. It's not a bad thing.
Act 2 thankfully doesn't involve the Adepti. It's just the character-centric story of Zhongli, where we learn about how several different trades work. For example, we need to purchase a precious gem, and Zhongli explains how not all rocks are made equal, and we'll need to perform specific tasks to test them for quality. Then, once we've done that, we'll go back to the store and spend some money. Despite all he knows about trade, Zhongli seems to forget to bring his wallet every time this part comes up.
It is as you say. I suppose I overlooked this particular aspect of the transaction. Now that's settled, a question. Do you have any Mora on you?
You forgot to bring money again?
Thankfully, the shopkeepers normally offer us the items for free, or Child swoops in to pay for it. But each time it happens, my caveman heart starts racing as the game says,
"Oh, come now. Wouldn't you like to learn the most efficient ways to grind money?"
Unlike Mondstadt, we never get to try Zhongli as a playable character, or anyone, which leaves me a lot less to talk about. So I'm gonna try to tell you about some of the more complicated things involving Genshin Impact's gameplay, stuff that I've come to actually utilize by now. The elemental system in Genshin is odd. At first I thought it'd all be common stuff. Water and ice freezes people, but what if fire hits something that's already frozen? Well, it triggers melt. What is melt? Well, that's vaporize with less enthusiasm. We've talked about a few, but I want to note some of the more interesting combinations. For example, fire and electricity cause overload, resulting in a large explosion that knocks everyone back. Cryo and electro cause superconduct, which creates an ice explosion while also reducing their resistance to physical damage by 40%. Dendro and fire create burning, which allows you to deal damage over time as long as you can continue supplying the burning enemy with the Dendro element to keep the flame going, creating opportunities to use Dendro without just making bombs. We only have 7 elements and 2 of them have the same reaction with everything, Animo and Geo, until they decided that Moon Sign Benediction was to be added. If you have a member from Nod Cry in your party, you gain a point. At a certain number of points, your character's reactions are changed or upgraded. I don't have a Nod Cry character currently, and spoiler, I never unlocked one. Alright, that's pretty complicated, but did you forget elemental resonance? Naughty naughty. As you know, each character is assigned an element. What you might not know is that these characters provide buffs depending on their alignment and your party's composition. What I've been using for most of the game is called Protective Canopy, which is granted to you by having all 4 members of your party use a different element, granting us 15% resistance to elemental and physical damage. The other combinations are if you bring 2 characters with a specific element, like if you stack 2 fire characters, Cryo is removed from you 40% faster and you get a 25% attack bonus. All of those details, and you still don't know who the fuck Genshin is or where he even left his impact. Something weird happened today. I logged into Genshin Impact and started doing the daily quests like I have come to do, and I kinda had fun doing it. I felt strong. There's still some stuff about team comp I don't understand yet, though I'm at the point where I can kind of enjoy what my party does. At the start, combat felt really dull, like I was running in, hitting attack, and if they hit me, they hit me. Now I'm paying attention to stamina management so I can dodge their attacks, trying to make sure I apply Mualani's Vaporize effect, and I know when I'm at far enough of a distance to use Tighnari's bow shots. The Traveler swaps elements depending on the situation, and does the most melee damage. At this point, most people would have dropped to the Traveler, but I'm sort of attached to the fellow now. Zhongli needs us to negotiate with the people of Liyue. My heart races again, but we're saved by Child. This time, we need to hire some manual workers for the ritual. We are given a certain amount of money to distribute among the laborers. I must decide, based on the words of each person, how much to give them from the budget we have remaining. Oh, hey, wait, hold on, wait. I'm glad that the game has kept its quest diversity. There's a good flow of combat, puzzles, and mini-games. This could have very much turned into a title where you run out into the forest and bash things with a stick so that you can have a thicker stick. It equally would have been easy to make it not seem like that at the start, then wait until you've suckered in enough whales to feed them their krill. In the context of the story, not the game itself, I need to make that clear real quick. We close this out by learning about Ningguang and the Jade Palace, the nobility Qixing of Liyue. The Jade Palace is a floating sky fortress from which a woman named Ningguang oversees Liyue and consults documents trying to find answers to anything she can think up. We meet the emissary Ganyu, who invites us to this Jade Palace. I've seen her on the timeline often. It's an honor to finally meet her. There's a sadness in her eyes that you only see in Eastern Node Cry gay porn. Hey there, sexy mama. Lovely day to pick some flowers, but an even better day to pick up a hot stud.
The glaze lilies are in season, but something else is in season. I could show you if you'd like.
she's off the market, right? Then you'll be waiting several years until she's back.
Go home, little girl. I am gonna win my 50-50. I can feel it. Ganyu is the secretary for the Qi-Sing. While the Adepti are magical in nature, the Qi-Sing are the mortals that have a foot in Liyue's economy. This is the group that Ningguang and the Jade Palace represent. Specifically, 7 merchants that act as the government. So we have the immortal magical beings on one end and the strong capital investors on the other, both of which split control of Liyue. Ganyu is an Adepti who serves the Qi-Sing, under a contract she formed with Rex Lapis. If that didn't make any sense, welcome to the past 3 days of my life. So we say goodbye to Zhongli, ending Act 2, meaning we're almost done with Liyue. Act 2 of the EasyBreeze resort is nice.
Oh, that was so comfy. Paimon feels refreshed and ready to go. Which is good, because it's time to get serious about this whole vacation thing.
Don't I know it, Muppet Paimon. Don't I know it. There still isn't a lot of combat over here, but that doesn't bother me much. Mualani, Bennett, and Chaska are really sweet to be around. I don't have a lot of adventurer rank to get, just a level and a half. This is not a major setback. I've learned that doing regular quests isn't an efficient way to get adventurer rank, but in this circumstance, a few of these quests should keep me happy for the day. Then I'll wrap it up with some commissions and ley lines on day 13. While here, I'd like to answer a question I posed a very long time ago. After playing for 12 days, I am past the outer crust. I would say that Breath of the Wild and Genshin Impact do not have a lot in common. Outside of capturing a natural beauty, many of the mechanics in Genshin Impact don't make the world more of a sandbox to play in. The atmosphere is not nothing. Being pretty is important. Good music, really making the player feel there. That makes each area feel unique. That sold me on a lot of moments in Genshin, even when there wasn't a ton of build-up with the cast. Genshin is designed in a way where the focus is on the characters, not the space they're in. When I enter a fight in Genshin, I primarily think about comboing the effects my characters have. While a pool of water nearby might add an opportunity, it's not the most attention-grabbing part of the fight. In Breath of the Wild, you were always limited by inventory, forcing you to scavenge for resources and make the most out of the natural elements that the world would leave around. Link's weapons would break, and any higher level tactics involved using expendable items like bombs or arrows. So to preserve or even just survive an encounter, you needed to make sure you used what was around you. While in Genshin you have almost everything you need. The only real limiter is your stamina, and even then, you don't have resources, you just have things you can do now. Mualani can help you traverse water much faster, but once you have her, which I think is fine. Genshin did take inspiration from Zelda, they said as much, it's not a crime. Genshin is its own thing, and what it learned from Zelda suits its purpose. Genshin is a game that wants you to explore its world and take in its scale and beauty, while Breath of the Wild wants you to get intimately familiar with its world and learn to use its rules to your advantage. That said, if you do like Breath of the Wild, outside of the views, you will not like Genshin Impact. You do not need to break your PS4 over it. I've been grinding away at some bosses today because I want to make 100% sure I'm ready to beat this game when the time comes. There's enough resin to get there, but today the game's servers will go offline. Whenever Genshin does its big updates, the entire game shuts down. You cannot play it for several hours. Tomorrow they're adding Nod Cry, the newest area. To round out Act 2 before the day ends, let's talk about the story and update you guys on where we're gonna go on day 14. Rex Lapis has a dragon form that he uses to attend to his godlike activities. In reality, he'd look a lot more like Venti, just a dude, or male body, female head. The dragon body no longer has anyone living in it, but it does have the gnosis that made Rex Lapis who he was. I wonder who would be interested in that. Funnily enough, I actually didn't think Child would betray us, because it seemed so goddamn obvious. I assumed the much more rational thing that he had a pay pig fetish. Yet here he is, smirking to himself and walking off stage left. Meaning that's what's gonna take up Act 3. And I've got to waste time tomorrow to find out. Only tomorrow, though. 我已经居然太闲，无否改变主意了。 Today is the second to last day. I know that tomorrow I'm gonna finish Liyue, and this experiment along with it. My adventurer rank will easily be bowled over from here. It's not even worth noting. Today is the 5-year anniversary. This is the best time to get into Genshin, as they introduce tons of new content and tons of gifts. I am not going to recommend that. I'm going to leave that up to you and the fact that you clicked on for people who will never play it. I am allowed to choose a 5-star character. Completely on the house. No rolling, no money. I went with Jean, the leading knight of the Knights of Favonius, mainly because Venti wasn't an option. As far as I'm concerned, this is my last roll. This game demands way too much money, and I'm not giving it more. The average Genshin player makes less than $6,000 a year. Get 4 of them together, and you might just be able to fund one Persona 5 fanzine. I'd say I've dropped $100, which is better than most. I've been reasonably lucky. I got Mualani, I got a character from every corner of the world. For me, where I am right now, this is enough. Jean is a much older character than Tighnari and Mualani. As an Anemo character, she primarily fills a supporting role. Her power creates a vacuum that drags enemies inwards, then launches them forwards. This can be used to control the crowd or send a group of baddies off a cliff. And her support capabilities come from her ultimate that creates a giant field of healing, upping the group's survivability. That said, I mainly grabbed her for sentimental reasons. I want a piece of that first journey with me. Looking back, a fire, electro, or cryo character would have been much more nice. I get a message from Frank. They suggest I fight Storm Terror again. The finale of each arc is a replayable event. It'll net me Adventurer rank, alongside some other rare rewards that would come in hand for character ascension. I stared at Frank like a rabid dog on a leash and imagined sending them in there to tear Storm Terror to pieces, then scab my reward, but unfortunately that's not how it works. The game will not allow me to fight Storm Terror again while in a party, so I'll do it myself. Oh, that's taken a while. So that's why people say you make a good team. This is where I need to grind and focus on my characters. Storm Terror is not as easy as when I left him. I'm going to need to grind to beat him a second time. Thankfully, if your characters are weak, there's this little menu that goes tut-tut. You can find out all the ways they're lacking. It makes this really simple for me. It highlights exactly what I need and where to get it. An advanced Genshin player would likely go through their own methods of building them up, though that'd be honed through years of playing. I'm okay with just being told what to do for now. The previous few missions weren't easy. I even struggled with a world boss because I wasn't using a team that took advantage of its elements. Being famous means I can't get stuck on the final boss of Liyue. No one had ever let me forget it. I'd become the dark side Phil of Genshin Impact. If I want to get over this hurdle, I need to get stronger. That isn't just in one way. I'm gonna aim for well-rounded characters overall. That includes, but is not limited to, the character's level, the character's weapon level. That isn't discounting their artifacts, 4 slots of armor, which combo with each other, buffing specific stats. So you have to make sure they're dressed properly. Each move a character has can also be upgraded with materials. Then, finally, when you think you're done, you get the constellations. If you roll a character in the gacha, they do not stop being an option on the gacha. You can roll them again. Instead of getting another character laying around, you get the materials that allow you to upgrade their constellation, which provides passive benefits. Meaning, even if you went through the effort to get the character once, you will likely never have them at their best unless you spend more money to continuously roll them. So instead of having a child, I would recommend getting a 5-star in Genshin Impact. That isn't even accounting for weapon and skill preferences. Some characters do better with certain stats. When a character arrives in the gacha, there will be a second lottery for their weapons. I have never even rolled this. Yet each character has a weapon specifically made for them. For example, Mualani's weapon is called Surf's Up, which gives the user's basic attack an increase in damage when the character activates their power or triggers the Vaporize effect. This also stacks. Now the void that I thought went away when I rolled her is back. To get Mualani at her best, you need to get her 7 times in the gacha, then pull the weapon. It's a degree to which I just cannot be asked. I also swap around my characters, now that I've leveled them up and taken some advice. Characters can be classified into 2 types, on-field and off-field. On-field would be someone like Mualani, someone you play in the fight for their attacks at the moment. Then Xiangling might be someone you'd play off-field. If you remember, this is the character that drops the flaming turret. After that happens, you say, sit back and be quiet until you have your ultimate, which causes a massive flaming ring to rotate around any character that is currently being controlled. The result is that Mualani can trigger her powerful vaporize effect without needing to swap to someone who uses pyro. Xiangling's turret is already down, and Mualani is there applying hydro, continuously burning and vaporizing all at once, meaning these two would be more equipped to handle dangerous situations than several heavily armed space marines.
She tells me she needs to set proper boundaries. Goes to therapy once and suddenly thinks she's got a bunch of magic spells to...
Storm Terror now gets chewed through like a dog toy. My adventurer rank isn't even that much. I know what I need to do. By reaching rank 25, I unlocked the ability to spend twice my resins for twice the rewards at the ley lines. Since today was update day, a small trip is in order. Nodcry is north of Natlin. It's a small island nation that borders Snezhnaya. This time, I'll remember there's a waypoint and that sea monsters aren't real. Nodcry is inspired by Eastern Europe. We're gonna leave that vague for my sake. I'm going to make an executive decision. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here. Each country in Genshin has met me with unparalleled beauty, and I don't want to waste that on Nodcry right now. Nodcry doesn't have an element like the previous countries, so there's no new power for me to harness from their statues of the Seven. However, it doesn't mean this place isn't themed. Nodcry would have the lunar element, even though it doesn't exist. That's where Moon Sign Benediction comes in from before, so they've kicked me out with nothing for me to steal. Frank chimes back in. They want to show me a boss in Natlin. This coastal area has these dragon trains you can unlock, which ferry us across the ocean blue. The puzzles aren't bad, and Frank shows me a giant boss to fight, culminating in, oh, that's not the boss we're looking for? It's that island all the way over there. Isn't it, Frank?
Dodge this! Cool it! Freeze! Cool it!
You know, this ain't bad. With the way I've been spending so much time on videos, chances are decent I won't be able to boot up Genshin Impact again. But I hope I get the excuse to. The Jade Palace is the home of the Liyue Qixing. This is a guild of merchants that legally proceed over the continent. It's a mercantile version of the Knights of Favonius, a government organization that controls the military. They were spying on us at first, but they have come to accept that they need to work with us, as they believe the Adepti sworn to protect Liyue are past their prime.
Well, as it happens, I am one of the Liyue Qixing.
Oh!
I'm Kuching, the Yuheng of the Qixing. The time of the Adepti has long passed. If even the Liyue Qixing don't want to face that truth, then what future is there for Liyue?
It's like a Democrats versus Republican thing, and the best part is either framing works depending on who you're angry at. The Jade Tower floats high in the sky. I think I can even see the Court of Fontaine in the regional waterway in Dragonspine Mountain from here. Their leader, Ningguang, explains how the world of Genshin came to be the way it is. There were once many, many gods in Teyvat, all of which vied for the seat of Celestia, a status that would make them Archons, as well as giving them a part of Teyvat to govern, also bestowing them those gnosis we spoke about before. Anyone in Genshin Impact who has a vision, those magical powers our characters have, is capable of becoming a god. However, with there only being 7 seats, a war raged until very few of those gods remained. The survivors of that war being the group we now know as the Seven. Those towers I've been unlocking, all being the places meant to celebrate those gods. Since any person with a vision can become a god, and potentially an Archon, it's likely someone will replace Rex Lapis at some point. That day just might be very far off in the future. Liyue, in the time being, will have to stand on its own 2 feet. This meeting leads us to Ningguang's office, where we notice a piece of paper about how the Fatui have been up to no good, and they've tricked a wandering traveler who walks the world with the words, "massive fucking moron," taped to their head. If I were to categorize each act of Liyue, Act 1 would be Child and the Adepti, Act 2 is Zhongli's, and Act 3 is the Qixing's and Child's again. And I want to help the Qixing by killing a child. Child is heading to the Golden House, a massive bank that houses all of Liyue's money. It's also where Rex Lapis's corpse is, and consequently, where the Geonosis is. Originally, I was gonna run in with a group that consisted of Traveler, Jean, Tighnari, and Mulan. The goal was to have one character from the start of the game, one from the middle, and one from the present. Yet Jean is Animo, which means I'd lose out on Amber's fire powers, which combo decently with everyone else. Her fire sets off Tighnari's blooms and allows Mualani to vaporize. Who gives a shit about Jean anyway? I didn't pay for her. That's right, I have so many anime girls, I can throw them away now. Amber has been a mainstay in the party since I got her. While Aether is the only character I've allowed to ascend past level 40, I'm gonna add Amber to that line too. In true capitalist form, the hardest workers are rewarded with more work. I decide to max out what gear I can. That means upgrading the Traveler's weapon to full, too. Then I go to Mualani to upgrade her weapon when... Insufficient Mora. Genshin, you son of a bitch! Since Child has to do such a 180 to reveal he's a bad guy, the final boss opens with him standing there explaining exactly who he is and how he feels, without a note of subtlety.
We won't let what happened in Mondstadt ever happen again!
Oh, so you intend to fight me? Good. I won't kill you, Traveler. I'll just play along, to feel the thrill of battle. Besides, you could never defeat me, not even in your wildest dreams. But hey, try to relish the fight anyway, because if you ask me, without that, what else is there? Fighting talk, I love it! Now let's see you live up to it.
Just unflinching eye contact where he's like, I love fighting. I do not like plans. I want to hit you. I enjoy anime shenanigans, but I'd maybe give it a 7 out of 10 on the hype scale. The fight itself is better than the writing around it. Child has a lot of dazzling attacks.
Break! Got you. This!
Carving waves!
Child's VA was also better suited to winking at me and passing a 20. When you have him shout, it's just not as great. Then I gotta quickly forgive it because I love shit like this.
Not bad. Your swordsmanship is quite impressive. But that's about as far as you'll get. Well, this is most unexpected. You beat me to it, didn't you?
There's something especially fitting about the arena, the golden piles of Mora surrounding you, watched over by the corpse of their dead ruler. This is all Liyue has ever been about, gods and money, amen. Rex Lapis never died. The body was empty, there's nothing to loot from it. Since Child is a violent guy, that doesn't matter much. This is only half about the Gnosis. Child likes to fight. He wants the Gnosis, but if that's not here, the battle is the second best thing. And the fight is actually hard. At first, I attempted my basic strategy of mashing buttons, but Child deals more damage than that. Also, Child isn't his proper name. It's a Tartaglia. While I'm at it, let me add this in too. As you can see, he's got multiple phases of the fight. 3 to be specific. Storm Terror just fights until he doesn't feel like it. Child is a power scaler. The gimmick with Child is that he actually has 2 elements on his side. Electricity and water. Getting hit with both means, once again, nothing good happens. Most of the attacks do the classic thing where they highlight a spot on the ground for you to move out of. Damn it! He's strong. Amber, how are you holding up? I'm gonna be considerate and acknowledge that this is still really early in Genshin Impact's development. I'm a little underwhelmed, but not disappointed if that makes sense. After all my time in the EasyBreeze resort, I know the ramp in quality is upwards, I just don't know when that happens. Realistically, Child doesn't stand a chance against a Traveler dropping rocks on his head while his surfer girl occasionally calls in artillery fire, especially when I've got so many food items.
Oh, give me another delicious mushroom chicken skewer.
You're cut above.
It seems the burden of the foul legacy transformation was too great for my body. I lacked the opportunity to think this through.
Child reaches for his backup plan. The only rational explanation for the Gnosis being missing is that the god of Geo isn't dead, that the incident was faked, meaning Rex Lapis is actually in hiding. If there was a threat to Liyue, surely he wouldn't just stand by.
Let's see. Will the nation that has lost its deity be swallowed up by an ancient malice once more? If you wish to drown together with the people of Liyue, you're free to stay and enjoy the show.
Resulting in Child reaching into the earth and awakening a giant monster. A beast from the ocean that served in the Great Archon War. And yet, no one comes. No Rex Lapis, no Venti, no one. The creature is a massive ocean beast that rises from the nearby harbor. What happens instead of divine intervention is human intervention. The Qixing and the Adepti come together. They might not agree all the time, but this is bigger than them, resulting in a finale where Ningguang gets out these ancient magic ballistas. If we can defend those, the whole country can be saved. The cutscene shows them rushing in, but then cuts to me on my lonesome. However, they are also providing buffs to the party like healing, speed, and damage. Each member of my party also has a genuine use. Tighnari's fast lock-on damage lets me hit targets from afar, and his diversion power can buy me time. Mualani's surfing can allow me to quickly control the objectives, and the Traveler can cut their heads off. This is the moment that Liyue comes together. Ancient Adepti work hand in hand with the government to stop a larger threat because despite their different views on the world, this is still their home. They come to the conclusion that the ballistas aren't good enough. They're gonna drop the Jade Palace on the monster's head, showing that the Qixing are capable of sacrificing for the people as well as the Adepti. Child's plan is foiled, the Qixing are given control of the city, while the Adepti take a background role. So, the question you might have been wondering if you've been paying attention, why didn't the Geo Archon step in? Well, you might have put it together by now. When I walk in to check on Zhongli, there he is, handing the Gnosis we fought so hard to protect over to the Fatui. Zhongli is Rex Lapis, the god of Geo. He wanted to see if Liyue could stand up for itself without him. He wants to be a common man walking the streets, meaning I told the god of Liyue that I preferred Mondstadt. And so he just hands the Gnosis over to the villains, but at least the Qixing tell us we have one wish. They will put all of their power into it.
Is that the Traveler who they say defeated the ancient god?
So young! The Liyue Qixing always repay their debts. And as you have heard, our eyes see far and our reach is long. Name your price. You deserve that much.
Whoa!
Well, could you help me put up some missing person posters?
So, that's it. It's 2 in the afternoon on the final day. Starting Inazuma would be a waste. The deed is done. I guess all that's left to ask is what I thought of it. Genshin Impact is a complicated game. I can tell there's real talent and value to be found in it, though it also wants to get in its own way. In order to keep it self-sustainable, it essentially has to try and hypnotize you, trying to make you build up habits like logging in every day. Most games want to do that, but not in the same way. You know, like, not like you're attached to their character, but like you're attached to their character. Striding the line between enjoying it for what it is and slipping into an obsessive insanity seems like a difficult one. For me, it's hard to justify something that will eat this much time unless you don't have a job. In fact, according to the study I found, Genshin seems to attract people who shouldn't play it. That said, I need to add a disclaimer. I have yet to experience true Genshin Impact. A lot of characters have personal quests. I imagine the quality here is even better. I enjoyed EasyBreeze because it was character-focused, and this seemed to be exactly what I'd be looking for, but I can't unlock them yet. Back on day 8, I asked those 2 veterans why they still play Genshin Impact all these years later. They spoke about the game like it was a guy that recently got out of prison. A title whose base has been widely improved upon by Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero, but isn't discounted from being great in its own way. Just a step farther from approachable. I have played Honkai and Zenless Zone Zero. Both have a degree of polish that I definitely missed during my time here. Though Genshin does have a charm of its own, like a PS1 game. Like Genshin will give you a beautiful view, but Zenless Zone Zero will show a character bouncing off the wall in this bizarre animation style. However, I suppose Genshin Impact walked so that they could run. What remains is now a game with the biggest fan base but the most restrictive foundation. Genshin Impact is the fucking Bitcoin of video games. We should have gotten in earlier. There's still value in getting in now, though definitely not on the same level, especially considering that the word nostalgia came up several times in my conversations with people. While writing this video, I looked up some stuff after the fact and found out that a lot of questions still remain unanswered. Why do the Fatui want the Gnosis from each of the 7? How does it relate to that godlike woman from the start of the game? What sparked the Archon War? All of these years later, and you are just as far as the long-term players in understanding this. The story runs out of areas in late 2026 when they add Snezhnaya. Though, that's implying MiHoYo would let this go. I've heard some speculations of the game ending in 2028, that Teyvat is just the starting world and that they're gonna drag us to a new world. I would give Genshin Impact an 8.25 out of 10 and a 6 out of 10 for the impatient. For at least 50% of the day, I considered myself the impatient, but 6 out of 10 is still positive. Wait, hold on, I was looking at this wiki. There's an Act 4 in here? In Liyue, that's not right. I thought it was 3 acts each. No.
Dude, hit the 2 little arrows. You'll never be able to go back. You see my vape, by the way. I can't find it. I'm here to eat this guy. I got like 3:30 appointment for it. Am I interrupting something? I don't want to be rude. Or whatever. Also, you're sitting on your vape. Oh, shit. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyway, the moral is, the snake may be chill as fuck, but it's still a snake. I joke, but actually I think this video did take a piece of my sanity that's never coming back. Not because it was a Genshin Impact video, but because it was an almost 2-hour Genshin Impact video. If you liked this video, please go check out the Patreon in the description. It helps me make stuff like this, helps me make them weird. Also, let me know if you guys want to see more of this for people who will never play it type videos. Leave a little comments of stuff that seems reasonably cursed and you don't want to touch it. The next few videos I'm going to try to step down a little bit, try to make them a little shorter, because honestly the stress of this was unreal. That said, if you're listening to this, maybe it was worth it. You watched it all the way to the end, right? Also, check out the previous video, the Mind's Eye Deep Dive you didn't ask for, and at the 52-minute mark, I think. It's really cool what happens next. Alright, cool. Peace out. I'm gonna go hit the gym, and then lay down for a bit.